What's up, guys? Today we are joined with Chris Grant, who is the OA OG. He has been doing OA for how many years now? 10?
It's been 10 years, maybe 11. It was retail arbitrage first, but OA started pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I confuse you with Chris Green, who also does OA. So, like, y'all's names have been around for a long time. You're the founder of the OA Challenge, which
Mhm.
has had a lot of people go through that and had success. And you're doing six figures in online arbitrage. And you spoke at Miami Sellers Conference last year, and you're speaking at Miami
Mhm.
Sellers Conference this year. So, super excited to have you. And welcome to the Amazon Savage. Oh, I got to get my audio up here. I'm slacking today, y'all. I'm slacking today. Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast.
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
And we also got Taylor here, my co-host, Miami Sellers Conference. What's up, buddy?
Go to Lister.
Hey.
So,
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, guys. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Taylor looks like he's doing better than me down in Costa Rica
I'm
right
great, man. It's a sunny day on the beach here in Costa Rica. I cannot complain. So,
now.
Dude, I love Costa Rica. It's been a few years since I've been there, but one of the best countries I've ever visited.
yeah.
Where you
Where
go?
did you go? What part?
West Coast is where we went. Actually, it's probably my favorite trip I ever took with my wife. For our 11th anniversary, we flew into the capital city. And I wasn't thinking. I was just like, this is where we're going to fly into. And we get there, and I pull up a map, and I'm like, our hotel's 4 hours away on the other side of the country. And so we rush around, we rent a car, and we drive 4 hours through the pouring rain, through the mountains. But it was one of the best trips we ever took.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. It's beautiful, man. It's like, to get to either coast, we also had to drive 4 hours, but we went to the other way. We're in the Caribbean on the East Coast right now.
Okay.
But it's beautiful. Raw
When that,
nature.
when that fog kicks in, man, that's rough in
And
Costa Rica.
the thunder in Costa Rica is different,
Yeah.
right? So we walk out of the airport and you hear this big clap of thunder and it sounds like an explosion. And my wife like almost fell to the ground, and the police were there and they just started cracking up.
Wow.
But it was just a really, really great country.
The first year that we took people to Costa Rica, this was back in I think 2021 or two. We had 12 people in a freaking passenger van going through the mountains, and it was so foggy we couldn't see 5 feet in front of you, and like everyone was just dead silent because they were like genuinely like scared we were gonna crash.
Yeah.
it was it was a good time.
Little did they know they'd be driving with me a few nights later at midnight, like 70 miles an hour with no fear.
But yeah, no, it's a good place to be. So, but thanks for coming on, Chris. Always good to chop it up with you, brother.
Yeah, happy to do it, guys.
Yeah, if you want to tell us a little bit about your backstory and like how you got started selling on Amazon and what you had success selling at first and what your business model looks like now.
Sure. So I have been self-employed like forever almost. I did a short stint pushing carts at a grocery store before I turned 18, and then I started selling insurance. And when I was selling insurance, the writing was kind of on the wall. I was not going to get what I wanted out of that career, which was my own agency. And so I started looking for ways to make money on the internet. And of course, you come across everything. Back then it was a lot of affiliate marketing, and some other things that didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time, because they were not being properly taught back then. It was all kind of black hat stuff. But then I came across a podcast, and on the SPI podcast with Pat Flynn, I heard about Amazon, and it made sense because I had been drop shipping on eBay, and I couldn't stand it. I was just super late nights fulfilling orders, and I hadn't figured out how to have other people handle that for me. So once I found Amazon and I could ship things into FBA, it kind of all clicked. Yeah, I'm going to have to outlay the capital up front, but I can send it into Amazon. They'll handle it, pack it, prep it, ship it, all of that good stuff. It made a lot more sense to me. And so we started with books, of course, for cheap inventory. And we went from buying books at thrift stores to buying books by the Gaylord from some book companies in
Who was
Columbus,
around back
Ohio.
then? Was anybody posting about books? Like, was Reezy posting about books back then?
Man, I don't know if Reezy had started posting quite yet, or it was like very early on.
Was Caleb around?
There was Chris Green is who I knew of. There was the Selling Family with Jessica LaRue, and oh shoot, there's a guy in Dayton, and I
Oh,
can't think
Greg
of his
Murphy.
name. Yeah, Greg Murphy. Yeah, those were kind of the people who I was following then. And Greg was an
Bus-proof
inspiration because I was
business,
like,
right? Wasn't that his thing? Bus-proof business.
"Yep, bus proof business."
Yeah.
But he was buying like truckloads of books at a time, and I was like, I want to get there someday. It was nuts. But we sent all of our books into FBA, and I didn't want to have a warehouse or anything like that. And then Amazon changed the storage fees, and so I was like, oh well, now we got to get out of the book business. What are we going to do?
What year was this?
Oh man, I 2000. I don't know. Would have been 8 years ago, maybe, when they
Okay.
changed their
What's
storage
so
fees.
funny is if any bookseller could like pay to have the opportunity of storage fees that you had back then now, like they would pay so much. They would pay like easily
Oh
like
yeah,
$15,000-$20,000 today to have those storage fees because you could ship anything. People were sending 50-cent books to Amazon FBA. Now it's like it's really hard to send because if you send a 50-cent profit book to Amazon and they happen to remove it, they could charge you $2 for that book.
oh yeah,
So it's a
yeah,
$1.50. It's a $2 liability to ship that book in. And man, over the years, if you thought that was bad, restock limits were terrible. That put so
yep,
many booksellers out of business. And then even this year, the fee changes. We'll see how they really affect. But they have the low FBA inventory fee,
yep.
and I forget all the other ones. I made a video on it, but back then, that's funny that back then you were like, oh, this sucks because like
Oh yeah.
2020 was terrible for booksellers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So back then, like before the change, there was no long-term storage fee. I could send whatever I wanted and it could stay there for 5 years and Amazon didn't charge a thing. It was great.
Yeah,
But
that's
then
why
we got
back
hit
then,
with
man,
like,
selling books on Amazon was such a good opportunity. You just load it up.
yep,
You didn't pay anything for the inventory. Sell a book for
10
$10, make
10
5.
million sales rank, perfect.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. It sells one time a year and I'll make $20 on it. Sure. Let's send it in. Um, and so once they introduced long-term storage fees, books doesn't make a ton of sense anymore because we've got to make sure that it stays under this particular rank, and we were buying books in bulk, and so I was getting rid of 90% of the books that we were buying, either right in the trash or to a local book reseller. And so then we switched to retail arbitrage, and we hit up the Myers and the Walgreens and stuff like that. We also did some thrifting, which you can't really do now, but back then it was all right. And we just totally switched to selling whatever was profitable that would sell within 60 to 90 days. And and then it was time to start a family. And I was like, well, I don't want to be in the car 12 hours a day. So I need to figure out something else. And that's when we started transitioning to OA, and having a little bit of help doing retail arbitrage on the side. And then I've just stuck with that because I don't know, I still enjoy it and I enjoy teaching it too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I feel like OA is definitely more of like a sexy business model because I know some students I had that I brought them into the store and they were just immediately like, oh no, I don't want to do this. But when people think that like, oh, I can buy as much as I want from the comfort of my own home and send it to a prep center, and like that, I think gets people like really excited.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It's unfortunate because retail arbitrage is a lot more scalable than people think. I've got friends who are doing 3 million and not working that hard in retail arbitrage. And then the biggest retail arbitrage operation I'm aware of does 75 million a year in sales, and nobody knows who they are. And they've got their processes down, they've got their trucks, they've got their shoppers, and they absolutely crush the game.
You know where they're based out of?
Yeah, they're out of the Northeast.
Okay, nice.
That's insane. You've got to get shoppers. I remember I tried to hire some shoppers when I was doing RA, and I was like, "This is I don't even know how to do it."
Dude, I had a spreadsheet. I guess technically this is retail arbitrage, but during chlorine, I had a spreadsheet of 30 different people that I paid to go into Costco, and they could only buy 3 tubs of chlorine at a time. So they'd go in, they'd buy 3 tubs, they'd send me a picture, I'd Zell them, or I had my VA Zell them. Then they would go back in, rinse and repeat. And we were spending, like, we must have spent 200,000 on this chlorine. And 2 people stole from me. One guy on Craigslist in Texas. I remember I hired this guy, and he sends me a picture of his Costco ID when he gets it. So I pay for his Costco membership, and he sends me a little picture of his ID. And then he goes in, he buys 1 round of chlorine, which was, what was it, $100 per? So it's $300.
Sounds right.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was actually a little bit less because originally I think it might have been 100. I don't remember though.
I think we were buying them for like 90 to 100 and flipping them for like 220 when I got in. When Jake was doing it, he was flipping them for like 300 plus. That's why Jake was making so much money. But anyway, so he goes for a second round. I'm like, I'll send you another 300. So I sent him $600. Never hear from him again. He must have returned the inventory. But what was so funny was I had this picture of his Costco ID on my phone, and I'm like, if I really wanted to, I could probably find this guy if I like sent it to the Texas police or wherever he was. But and then another guy held inventory ransom up in Washington. This guy was 7 feet tall. He sent me a picture of his ID. It said 7 on it, just 7. I've never seen it before. And that guy was just an idiot. Like, I don't even think he meant to do what he did, but he just didn't text me back for 3 days. And he had like $6,000 of my chlorine. And I was like, I'm not going to have this. So I blew him up on social media. Shout out everyone who helped me out. Taylor, Miles, Taylor's ex-girlfriend. Everyone just went and like tore apart this guy's page. He had a picture of him playing basketball, and everyone just commented, "Give Romer back his chlorine. Give Romer." And but yeah, I guess I say that it's a hassle to run that operation. So we have this huge spreadsheet of 30 different names, and then you got to send them, like, if you pay them more than $600, you got to send them like a W-9 or whatever. Like, it's a mess.
Yep.
Yeah. When COVID broke out, Chris, were you focusing on OA, and did you? Because I know, like, I started literally right before COVID, and then the opportunity in stores was, I couldn't imagine how much more money I would have made, like if I had an Amex or something. Were you at the time when COVID broke out, were you focusing on OA, and did you guys milk OA as much as you could, or did you guys pivot into stores? Because I know, like, the in-store opportunity was crazy too.
I'm not one to see an opportunity and not take action on it. So we did, we did flip some chlorine. We flipped a lot. We didn't do a lot of yeast, but we did a lot of gravy mixes and things like that during the holidays. And a lot of sidewalk chalk, and every single one of those little trends that popped up, we took advantage of. I didn't really get into the big stuff like pools or patio heaters because I didn't want to have to ship that out of my house.
Yeah.
But anything that was small, we would take advantage of, and we were doing hybrid. So if we could only get it in stores, I had a few people who would go out and do some shopping for me. I would do it on occasion as well, and then we would buy everything that we could online as well. But I was also taking advantage of some opportunities that other people weren't looking for. Everyone was looking for pools, patio heaters, sidewalk chalk, and all that stuff. I started looking for like supplements and vitamins and things like that. Vitamin D became really big for a while. Some brain supplements for older people became really big. And so we would take advantage of those too, both in store and just finding them everywhere we could online.
Wow. Yeah, I was interested in that.
How much time do you put in your OA business now, like monthly?
I don't know, probably about 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So maybe 40 hours a month in total.
And what is that time? What are you doing in that time?
So for the most part, like I've got a team of 3 who source for me. And we've also got software and stuff like that we use. So mostly it's just going through their leads and buying them, and then also going through. I have a database of around 50,000 OA leads that we've either sourced or seen over the past couple of years. And so if my leads for the day aren't that hot, I go through the old leads and I start recycling through those, replenish anything that I can replenish, and that all goes to a prep center. A prep center handles, the prep pack, ship, listing, all of that stuff. I handle the repricer, and then I've outsourced the account health, account management, that kind of stuff is all outsourced. Same with IP claims, all that's outsourced, so I don't have to deal with any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. What did you because you last year was your first year coming to MSC, right, Chris?
Yeah, it was.
What did you personally get out? Did you get anything out of the event? Maybe you weren't expecting to, as a even as like just showing up for the weekend. What was your kind of maybe a takeaway that you had, like as a seller yourself?
Yeah. Well, one, the networking was hands down one of the best I've seen in a long time. You guys, I don't know if you guys were around when there was a conference called Rocky Mountain Seller Conference. Uh, you guys have got the networking down just as good, if not better, than they did, and that was probably my favorite and best conference that I've gone to in the Amazon space. Um, I was really surprised at how, I don't know, how eager people were to talk, to shake hands, to meet each other. It seems like a lot of times in this space we want to hold things back, we want to make sure to stay private, stuff like that, but that wasn't the case. That was the biggest thing. Some of the speakers that were off topic of Amazon, like Austin, was fantastic. I
Yep.
thought he did a great job.
I'm trying to get him back.
Um,
We got Reezy coming back this year, but Austin
nice.
is a maybe. So,
Yeah.
but we do have
I mean,
some
Reese
really
is
good
always great to listen
media
to.
people coming. We got Cade Peterson, Trevin Peterson's brother, and this kid's just crushing it with
That's awesome.
all types of videos. He's actually doing a comfort challenge where every day he does something that makes him uncomfortable, and he posts. He
Oh, that's
makes
cool.
really good Instagram reels. Like he'll just do what people say in the comments. Like he did a ice bath. What are some things he's done? He'll dance.
He'll do, and one of his popular ones right now is he'll dance in the car like at a stop sign and like just go crazy.
Yeah, but that's like not even uncomfortable for him anymore. But he'll go up to people and be like, "What can I do that's uncomfortable?" And they're like, "Climb that statue right there," and he'll just go do it. He hitchhiked from Vegas to LA. Anyway, like you're doing challenges, OA challenge. He's doing like a comfort challenge, and he'll be speaking this year at Miami. So he grew his Instagram following to 100K in like a few months.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things for me, was just the ability to sit down and talk to people. Like the speakers were all incredible. 1,000 ASINs was a great speaker, and
coming
so
back again.
everyone, I think everyone did a great job speaking. But when you go to an event, whether it's ASD, whether it's Miami Sellar Conference, or any other event you go to, I mean, the real knowledge and the real power is when you belly up to the bar and you start talking with your peers. And there was plenty of opportunity to do that. There was lunch, there was the events you guys put on, and they were all great.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
I'm not sure how much did the Rocky Mountain, because I know our conference is like the most expensive. How much was the Rocky Mountain conference? Do you know?
Oh, not off the top of my head. This was years ago, and I think maybe it was $400 or $500.
Okay, cool. I think that's something we noticed a big difference from the first and second year to the third year. Everyone in the third year paid like over $1,000 to be there, but the first year and second year they paid like 200 to 500, and we just noticed like a palpable difference in the energy the third year. So super excited for this year. This is our fourth year coming up.
21, 22, 23. Yeah,
Yes.
I think fourth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still working on my addition skills. Too
I
much.
get it.
What have you noticed? This is kind of random, but what have you noticed change in the OA space in the last maybe 5 years? Like because Miles and Warner are like super big on my radar because they I watch them come up. but have they like grown the space, or like are there like a lot of micro influencers that are like growing OA, would you say, like the number of sellers, or like how has it changed over the last 5 years in your opinion?
I mean, there's definitely a lot more sellers. And yeah, I mean, Miles and Warner definitely probably get a little bit of credit for that. I think that they have appealed to an audience of people who were absolutely crushing during COVID. And I mean shoe flippers. There was a ton of money to be made on StockX and Flight Club and Goat and all those platforms. But once that money got hard to make, or a little bit harder, a lot of those people have moved over into online arbitrage. And so there's definitely been a lot more younger folks in the crowd. I mean, when I started, I was what felt like the youngest person, and everyone was in their 30s and 40s. And now I'm the old guy, and everyone's like 16 to 22, starting OA.
Yeah.
So that's been a big shift. One of the other big shifts has been we went from manual sourcing everything because that's all we had. We only had Keepa, to the rise of automation, and now we're sort of going back the other direction. Everything's about manual sourcing, reverse sourcing, doing everything by hand. Maybe using tools like Seller Amp and things like that, but a lot less reliance on the automated online arbitrage softwares that have been around for a long time.
Why do you think, like, and when you're saying there's a decline of storefront stalking as well?
No, I think storefront stalking is still as popular as ever. That's something that's been popular for years and years, ever since Storefront Stalker Pro was created, and now we've resurrected that. That's always been fairly popular, but the automation side, the tools out there where you say, hey, here's a link to Walmart, show me all of the products that are profitable. That was massive. And a lot of people still use those softwares, but the newer folks coming into the space, and even people who've been around for a while, are going away from that and going back to manual sourcing. They're looking stuff up on Keepa, using Keepa Product Finder. They're just going to a site and sourcing every single sale that comes up, and then teaching their VAs to do the same. And that's how they're growing, rather than using, scraping and automation and all that stuff. And there's still a good bit of it, but it's not the most popular thing anymore.
Yeah. I wonder why. Is it because the automation is kind of showing all the
It's
people that are using it the same deals, or?
there's not really a way, and even though we're in the age of AI and things like that, and we can automate pretty much everything, there's no way to to replicate the human brain. If you see a product at Target and it's selling a single pack, but over on Amazon it's a bundle, or it's maybe it's two lotions and one face cream. Automated softwares, it cannot pick that kind of stuff up, but you can.
Yeah.
And until that is possible, whether it's through computer vision or AI or whatever it is, manual sourcing is going to be the best thing there is.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of Miami Sellers Conference last year?
Oh man, the boat was pretty sweet. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of fun. You had a ton of people on there who were all talking, having a good time. The views were incredible. That's probably my favorite part. Although, and that's one of the big things. Okay, but to be honest, maybe this is my second favorite, but there was one night where I think we went to someone's Airbnb, may have been your guys's.
Yep.
And we just sat around a table and we just talked for a good hour.
I think that was my
you
Airbnb.
guys.
Taylor's Airbnb
Was that your
was
Airbnb?
wild.
Yeah.
We were in
Yeah,
the ghetto.
Reezy was there, and
Yeah.
just had a conversation for an hour, 90 minutes, and it was fantastic. Learned a ton of stuff. Took away some good lessons on like fatherhood from Reezy. It was a great time.
Yeah. I think that's really like one of the coolest parts about the conference is like everyone there is great. And that's why like raising the price tag actually like attracted a higher level seller. So it was so cool to see everyone talk together. But what I love is I love seeing like Austin talk with Warner Fields or Reezy talk with, well, I guess you and Reezy have talked before, but maybe somebody Reezy would never talk to is like Taylor. So I like putting Reezy and Taylor together, and it's like these are people that maybe never would have met each other, but now they're all in the same room because they're speaking, and then they become really good friends, you know. And I feel like that's one of the coolest things is just to see like the whole room filled with people, and then even the attendees sometimes like you'll talk to somebody. Like last year, our DJ was like, "Oh, can my brother come?" Because our DJ volunteered. He's like, "Can my brother come for free?" And we were like, "Fine." Brother's selling 10 million a year on Amazon.
Wow. That's awesome.
And so brother's doing more than like almost all the speakers are. And I guarantee you every year we probably have like 15% of our attendees that are doing more than the speakers.
Yeah.
Which
Oh
is
yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. There's always a sleeper who doesn't, have a course or teach anything, and they're just absolutely crushing.
Yeah.
And if you find those people, they'll quietly give you a lot of game to be able to take home.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Do you have any critique of what we could do better? You can be completely honest. What you would like to see in the next year?
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I know some people want there to be like separate tracks and separate rooms for different things, but I don't care for that personally. I like all the speakers to be in the same room so I know exactly where to go and I don't have
Yeah.
to pick and choose who I'm listening to. I want to hear everybody. Um,
That's interesting. Yeah. I'm kind of
yeah.
with you on that. I think there is like an energy when everyone's together
Yeah.
watching the speakers. So we're having that the first half of the day, we're definitely having that. But we did think about kind of facilitating more networking by doing breakout sessions this year.
Mhm.
That's something
Yeah,
new we're thinking
there
about.
was you've probably been to a funnel hacker conference because I see the
Yeah.
shirt. I've been there too. One of the cool things that they've done in the past is they had a ballroom where either the speakers or maybe not necessarily a speaker, but influencer, someone who's doing something cool in the space has a table, and then people can walk around to different tables and ask questions, and it's kind of like a small. I don't know. It's speed networking, if you will,
Yeah.
or speed dating
Did they
with
did they
someone.
have like a timer or anything that made people like, all right, now switch, or did they just let it be organic and just go?
No, they let it be organic, and it was fantastic. I got to listen to a bunch of different people, speak, and then you come across someone who it's very engaging. It's exactly what I need. Happened to be the guy who does copywriting. His name's Jim Edwards. But I listened to him, speak for like 45 minutes before the thing was over, after visiting 4 or 5 other tables. So, that kind of thing allows everyone to kind of pick and choose what they want, kind of like a choose your own adventure. And it's usually a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too that not only is it to choose your own adventure, but it's also it's more opportunity for the people, maybe some of the smaller guys that maybe this is their first or second time coming. And we're going to have 300 people this year, possibly compared to like 170 last year. We'll have at least 200, 250, which is going to be a little bit more difficult for people to get that access to the speakers and have that one-on-one conversation. And I think doing those roundtables, we're going to kind of call them panels. That's going to give everyone an opportunity to have that access to each speaker.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, Avery, you're cut off for caffeine today, brother.
These little shots, I swear, they're like not nothing. I'll go to the coffee shop down the road, and I'll get one espresso, and it's like 4 of these. So I drink like 80 of these a day.
One of the things that I watched some videos on having like salt is really good for you, and it's like the real way to stay hydrated. So I got this Relight Boost, and it's electrolytes and caffeine. So
Nice.
just fucking loaded all day.
Wait, did you say it has salt in it too?
It's basically it's sodium, potassium, green tea, ginseng, and maca root.
That's funny.
Hmm.
I was trying to cut back on my sodium because I have this blood pressure machine at home, and it kept saying that I had high blood pressure. So I'm like, shit, 28 years old, got high blood pressure, I'm getting old. And these meals I do factory meal preps, and they each have like 50% of your sodium for like each meal. And so I'm getting like 5 times what I need every day. And then I went to the doctor, and like a dumbass, he's like, no, your blood pressure is perfect. It's like 105 over something. And I'm like, I don't know why. My cuff here at home, when it's around my arm, I don't know if it's because I'm too strong or what, but it always says I have like 150 over 90. So I think
Yeah, the home cuffs are not the best unless you buy something really high end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely caused me anxiety because like I would take it and I'd be like, oh, I am stressed today, and then it just like
It's
reinforced.
like a negative feedback loop. Oh, I'm stressed. Oh.
And then after seeing you and Diana and Josh all have low blood pressure, I'm like, man, like I just need to chill out. I'm doing too much of my business or something. So, Chris, I actually have a question about challenges. I'm doing a challenge right now. I actually briefly put on the screen because my audience would not want to know about this, but here's my challenge real quick. If you want to build a profitable Amazon business in 2024, consider joining the Feed the Beast Challenge. This is a challenge I put together where you'll get access to a complete video course on how to run an Amazon business. And the purpose of this challenge is to help you send more profitable items to Amazon so your bank account can go up. The more items you send to Amazon, the more money you make. And that's the purpose of this challenge, is to help you go out, find profitable books, and challenge you. We have live weekly coaching calls. We also have a private community. It's all 100% free. Just go to starthumble.com/beast, or just click the link below and it will enroll you in the challenge. Much love, and see you in there. So with my challenge, my idea is to kind of keep it running all year, which I know you don't do with yours, which maybe I'm making a huge mistake. And you're doing the wholesale challenge right now. Is that what it's called? And
we're doing the wholesale challenge.
You can tell them where to sign up for that, because we probably have some people that are interested in wholesale, so we can link that below for you. But what have you noticed really gets people success in challenges? And I guess what I'm asking is like, what should I do for the challenge in order to facilitate students actually getting results? Because I feel like that's what's really cool about the challenge versus like an evergreen course, you know?
Yeah, I love courses, and I buy way too many of them. My budget every year is high for courses. And the problem is that a lot of them just collect dust. I buy it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through this next week, and then it's, I'm going to do it the week after, and so on. But with a live challenge, what we found is that people show up because there's a little bit of FOMO involved. What am I going to miss if I don't show up to the live and I only watch the recording? And what you're going to miss the opportunity to ask questions or get clarity on something that, goes on during the live. And so that's built in. And so it captures their attention. And, people would be like, oh, well, that seems, good for you, but not good for the consumer. But we actually think it is good for the consumer because, you pay for something, and these things aren't, they're not the cheapest thing in the world. We don't charge thousands of dollars, but you're paying $600 to go through a challenge. You need to pay attention. And sometimes paying is not enough to just get you to pay attention. Sometimes you need something else. And so we use that to get them to pay attention. And then outside of that, you need some sort of quote unquote deliverable. And what we mean by that is like, okay, at the end of the day, here is the step that you need to take. Maybe that is, maybe it's day one, you create a seller account. Day two, you do X, and day three, you do Y. But you need something so that they've got a little bit of homework. And then at the very end, we like to have some sort of roadmap. We're like, okay, you've learned all of this information. Now, here's what you need to do with it over the next 7, 14, 21 days to keep the momentum going. And that way, you're building a habit, number one, through the challenge. You have to show up live every single day. For the wholesale challenge, it's 6 p.m. Eastern every single day. You know where you're going to be. At the end of 8 days, it's like, oh, well, it's 6 p.m. What the heck am I doing? Well, if you were showing up to the challenge, well, now it's time to show up for your business. So set that time aside, show up for your business, put in the 90 minutes or 2 hours of work if this is a side hustle, and knock out your roadmap items. And then we hope with the 21-day roadmap that, you're now 30 days into this, and hopefully you've built up enough muscle that you're working on this every single day and moving that ball forward a little bit. And that's the way that we've built it. And that's the kind of the psychology behind it.
Do you have any idea of the, I guess, success rate, or maybe not rate is what I'm looking for, but like what percent of people have success in the OA challenge or the wholesale challenge, and like what types of, like what would success be in the wholesale challenge?
I mean, success in the whole. So this is a difficult thing to gauge because success for everyone looks different. For some people, it's, hey, I just want to make an extra $1,000 a month so I can, put my kids through private school, or I can, pay off the car faster, or whatever it is. So it's a little difficult to gauge. I
Would it be like an
feel
order
like,
place? Like
what's
it,
that?
would it be like they place an order with the wholesaler, or they've opened a wholesale account, or they've gotten their
I mean,
first?
that is the hope. They have found a wholesaler, they've opened an account, hopefully ordered something. We haven't followed up as well as we should to see how many people have done that. Just because we've had about 1,000 people come through in total, and so it's a little difficult to do. But we've got a fair amount of folks who have really moved in the right direction. There was a guy just the other week, and he was like, "Since the wholesale challenge, I've opened up 35 different accounts with suppliers." And he hasn't ordered from all of them, but he's got those available to him. He can go through the price lists, figure out what to order and all of that. But you do what Corey says, and it does work.
Yeah. And Corey's going to be speaking at Miami Sellers conference as well.
Mhm.
In a nutshell, I don't really know his strategy. What it like, is he going brand direct? Is he going with distributors? Is he like Googling? Like just kind of like overview, like what's his
Yeah.
business model to reach out?
Most of his business model is suppliers and wholesalers, distributors. He
Okay.
does have, I think, one or two brand direct accounts, or at least one, and maybe another one he's working on. But most of his business is through suppliers, and a majority of his business is just through a handful of suppliers. And so he'll reach out to them, and you find these suppliers literally through Google. I know a lot of people are like, hey, there's got to be some sort of secret sauce, but there's really not. And every time he says this, and him and I are on a live together, I go out, I do exactly what he says, and sure enough, I find something to be able to go out and actually take a look at. You reach out to them, you build a relationship, and then you start ordering from them, and then that turns into relationships with brands eventually, because what could I do to increase the sales in this particular ASIN, or what could I do better for this brand, and you start reaching out to them as well, and it just works, but Corey puts in the reps, and I think that's the number one thing that he tries to show people is you've
Yeah.
got to put in the reps and do the work every single day.
Yeah. So we got Corey. This is Corey here. He'll be speaking at Miami, and he was actually at Miami last year. I didn't realize it, as an
Mhm.
attendee. And then obviously you are there as well. And there's Thousand Asins. We mentioned him, but he'll be there too. So yeah, super excited to have you guys. And yeah, I really feel like Corey's put a lot of good information out there for wholesale. I'm excited to see the results of the students in that challenge. Where can people go if they want to sign up for that?
Well, we're closed as of this morning, but if you want to learn about it, you can go to wholesalechallenge.com. There's a wait list if you want to learn a little bit more about it and sign up for the wait list. We'll probably do another one later this year.
Awesome, sweet. Taylor, you got any other questions for Chris?
No, man. I think that's good. It feels really good as like to hear your positive experience about the great networking, and I think we feel similar. I think it's always so exciting to just create that environment to get people excited and like share the information, because it's like every year all of the things that have taken my business to the next level, it's always because I had a conversation with one person that was doing more than me and just actually implemented it. So no, it feels
Yeah.
good. But yeah.
And these kind of events are important, and the reason that is everyone talks about how important networking is. The problem is nobody really wants to do it unless they're forced into it.
Yeah.
I talk about it all the time on Twitter. I'm like, listen, you got to network, and then my DMs are completely silent for a week. Nobody's reaching out, nobody's asking questions. But going to these types of events, it just, I don't know. One, there's a little bit of liquid courage, at some of the bars and things like that. So that obviously helps. But you got to get to these places where it's encouraged. You're seeing other people do it, and it kind of forces you into. I mean, the way you guys plan it, even lunch is kind of forced into. Hey, you're all going here. There's round tables. You got to end up sitting with somebody, and I mean, you're going to talk to them. So it's a great event to go to.
Yeah. Even if you don't meet somebody right away in the first half of the day that you're just like doing 10x what you're doing, you'll at least meet a couple people that like you can vibe with, and maybe you meet like a buddy too. Like that's the cool thing. Meet actual friends too. It's really cool.
Yeah, last year I can't even remember seeing anyone standing around like, oh, that guy looks like he's awkward or like out of place. Last year I literally don't remember one person.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. Years before, yes, but last year, no.
Yeah. And one of the other things I think people should think about is don't overlook the newer seller or even the beginner seller, because some of the questions that newer and beginner sellers ask will shine a light on something you may have forgotten or maybe don't do anymore, or they just see it from a different angle and it kind of opens up your eyes to something new. And so, I mean, there's literally something to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
And Taylor's going to be leading a breathing session. No, you're not. You're going to be leading a meditation this year. We did want to do a group breath work. Me and Taylor did breath work together out in Utah, and it was amazing. Like
Wim Hof style?
No, it's like a little less. It's like just like that, like not as deep as Wim Hof, but dude, like my hands were literally like going in, and I felt paralyzed. I checked to see if I could move, and I could still move, but it felt like I couldn't. And then I just had this crazy idea that I should go to a thrift store every week and have my friend record me and make a YouTube video once a week, and then use that to make short form. I just had this crazy revelation, and like it was like the best idea ever at the time. And I actually did it the week after. But
he said he would come and do it. The only thing is we only can do like 25 people at a time. I don't know, Chris, what do you think? Do you think attendees would be interested in doing like a breathwork session?
I would imagine at least some of them would. That's not necessarily something like I'm always super interested in, but if it's available, it's something I would go to because I'm fascinated by it. I just never take the time to actually do it.
Yeah. I would do it. It's crazy, man. Like, it's way different than Wim Hof. Like, very powerful stuff. But this year, we're really focusing on making an experience. Taylor and I went to Tony Robbins, and what he does a great job of, and this is the difference between a Tony Robbins event and our event. Tony Robbins has to deal with a bunch of people that don't know each other. They're in different business models, and it's really awkward for them. So he has to do like all these exercises to make people connect. The beautiful thing about us is we all have the same vision. We all want to sell a shit ton on Amazon. And so the room is just like, we get everyone amped up and just say, hey, talk to each other. We don't even need to do these corny exercises. Everyone's just like, shipping rate, just going at it, And so that's the beautiful thing about getting a bunch of like-minded entrepreneurs together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, Chris Grant, you guys can follow him below. We'll link his YouTube, Instagram. If he's got a TikTok, we'll put it there. Much love. Thanks for coming on, brother. See you at Miami.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.